garden saw, also known as a pruning saw, is a common sight in many yards. Useful for cutting tree branches or pruning thick bushes, a garden saw will make light work of the tasks that regular shears have difficulty with. Recently, much to my dismay, my garden saw was damaged. The handle, which is made of plastic, cracked. To remedy this and avoid a repeat, I will replace the cheap plastic handle with a more robust option, one that I'll fashion out of wood. In this video, I'll show you how. Welcome to Nature Yard Life. For the most part, this garden saw has functioned extremely well over the last few years. Unfortunately, it has now cracked and needs to be fixed. The locking mechanism still works, and the saw actually performs just fine. I could probably get away with using a little epoxy to secure the handle, but we've got a legitimate excuse here to embark on a new project, so let's do it. One feature of the handle that I'll modify will be the shape of the palm grip. Because this saw cuts on the pull stroke, it would be helpful to have a more robust grip area that the hand can grasp. I'll widen this end a little for easier functioning. To disassemble, I just need to unscrew this one bolt. There is also a tiny pin I need to knock out of this hole. This is a pretty simple setup, which means it shouldn't be too difficult to replicate in my new handle. I picked up this chunk of tattered wood from the base of a tree in my neighborhood. Not only did I get it at the bargain price of $3.99, but I also really enjoy using old, discarded wood that would otherwise be left to rot. I just need to clean it up a little to get it ready for the table saw. This first cut is to open it up so I can inspect the inner core. It looks pretty solid. I'm going to need to pass it through the saw a few times to square it up a little, so it'll be easier to work with. I need to decide how I want to align this wood to the old handle. This is an important decision, so I'll take my time before committing. Next, I'll trace out the front end of the original handle. This will need to be almost identical, so that the saw blade components all fit and operate correctly. Back over at the table saw, I'll cut away as much of the extra wood as possible. The hand saw will have to do some of the finer cuts. This next cut is to bring the block down to the handle's final thickness. Sawing these slots will allow me to chisel out the remaining material to form the curvature of the handle grip. The rasp is a very aggressive wood file that will take this handle down to its final shape in no time. Whenever the file gets clogged with wood debris, I use my wire brush to clean it out. Very effective. The front end tapers sharply to account for the blade components, so I'll cut away both sides to save time, rather than just filing it. Now, I'll add a point to the end. This hole is for the main bolt attaching the blade. By countersinking the top area using an extra large drill bit, I'll create some space for the bolt head to slot into. For the nut, I'll trace out the pattern and then chisel away the wood. Here, I'll measure and cut out the slot for the blade parts, as well as the blade itself. This oscillating tool with a curved saw blade is the perfect tool for cutting out this tricky end portion of the handle, where the blade will be kept secure when folded away. The pinhole needs to be measured out precisely so that the blade locks into position at the correct angle for cutting. The slight bend between the blade and handle will establish some good leverage for cutting. A little bit of sanding and the handle is all ready for adding a protective coating. This boiled linseed oil will add a beautiful color and natural finish, highlighting the pattern of the wood grain. It is not as protective as a proper varnish, so I'll need to reapply every few seasons to replenish the look and feel. I'm applying a second coat after 30 minutes to really allow the wood to take up as much of the oil as possible. When done, I'll wipe away the extra oil and let it sit overnight. Assembly is pretty straightforward. First, the blade plus its supporting mechanism. Then the nut and bolt. And finally the little pin. Now, this pin is probably not going anywhere, but I'm going to seal up these holes with a little bit of epoxy anyways. I'll leave it to cure for 24 hours. Okay, time to test out how comfortable and effective the new handle is. It's a pass. Well folks, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe.